Remember a while way back when I had said that Kobe's 81 points were not overrated because people wanted to discredit the amount of shots he took, and I told you how many field goals did Kobe make that night against the Toronto Raptors? 28 out of 46. That's incredible efficiency considering the shots that he made on a 60, 50, 90 against the Toronto Raptors. Well, I'm here to tell you that in my opinion, the greatest scoring game that Kobe ever had was not the 81-point game. Beg to differ? Why don't you find out and stay tuned? Why I think that his 62-point game in three quarters was more impressive than the 81. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to where I deliver the damn facts on this channel. It is your boy Lewis, man, and I'm once again coming back with another heavy hitter banger with yet another video. In this video, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about the historic 62 points in three quarters that Kobe Bryant scored on December 20th, 2005 against the Dallas Mavericks and prime Dirk Nowitzki, a much younger Jason Terry. Yes, I would want to mention, 5 years later, that, he locked down a certain somebody, 7 inches taller, but, we're not going to get into that. So this video is about Kobe scoring 62 in three quarters against the Dallas Mavericks. Now, what's so significant about that game? If you guys remember, the Lakers had one of the worst rosters in franchise history that Kobe Bryant had to carry into the playoffs. And yes, he had a Phil Jackson, but remember, this was a team built from the ground up. This wasn't a team that had talent coming in. This was not a team that, had great players. Kobe really didn't have a reliable second option but Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom was the second best player on that team, and he was really, I believe, the only player that averaged double digits that season, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I need to go back and check that 2006 roster. But this video is basically on what's so impactful and significant about the 62 points that Kobe scored against the Mavericks in three quarters. Well, let's see. Number one, that Dallas Mavericks team ended up winning 60 games that season. They were the 4th seed that year, but if we were to do the math, ironically, they had the 3rd best record in the NBA. They were one of 3 60-win teams that season. The other two teams, number 1 seeded San Antonio Spurs at 63-19, and the Detroit Pistons, who had the NBA's best record at 64-18. And if you guys remember, the year before, in 2005, the Spurs and the Pistons met in the NBA Finals. And I believe they were the 2 seeds. I believe they were they were both number 2 seeds in the Eastern and Western Conference in that year that met in the finals. But this year, both teams had the best records in their conferences. And it was looking like they were poised to meet again in the NBA Finals for a rematch. The Dallas Mavericks had the 3rd best record with 60 games, but the reason they were the 4th seed, ladies and gentlemen, is because when we look at history, if you guys remember, prior to the 2003 season, the league had 4 divisions. It was 2 in each conference. In the Eastern Conference, you had the Atlantic Division and you had the Central Division, where combined you had 15 teams in that division. I believe it was 7 or 8 in the Atlantic and then 7 in the Central, or 8. I don't remember the order. And then in the Western Conference, you had the Southwest Division and you had the Pacific Division. Same thing. I believe it was 8 or 7, in the division, depending on which division the team was in. So obviously 30 teams in the NBA, 15 in each conference. Here's the thing. In 2003, they added 2 new divisions. They added the Southeast Division, where you see teams like the Washington Wizards, the Miami Heat, the Atlanta Hawks playing. And then you have the Northwest Division, where you see teams like Utah, Denver, Portland, those teams. And Minnesota also. It became a 6 division league for the 02 or prior to the start of the 02-03 season. So the Mavericks, they were the 4th seed that year, and they won 60 games. What's significant about that is they played in the same division as the San Antonio Spurs. If the San Antonio Spurs were in another division, the Mavs would be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. That's how good the West was. You had 5 teams that won 50 games and a 6th team that ended up winning 48 in the Los Angeles Clippers. That tells you how deep the West was. That tells you how deep the Western Conference was. And then when you consider the fact that the Mavericks were the 7th best ranked defense that season, they were the 7th best ranked defense that the Lakers were going up against. And this was before the Lakers went on 1-11 of their last 14 to end the season. This was in the beginning of the year. So this was right around before Christmas time, where the Lakers were just still trying to find their footing. They were trying to see what kind of identity, they would have. And remember, Kobe was the lone scorer that could create his own shot, playing in the triangle offense with not a really good team. And what was crazy about that game was Kobe was red hot in that game, and his scoring increased in every single quarter. And I believe he had 14 in the first. I think he had 18 in the second, and then he ended the third quarter with 30 points in the third. He ended the third quarter with 62 points in 3 quarters. What is crazy about that stat? If you look at the Dallas Mavericks with a roster full of 12, they only had 61. So let me get this straight. Kobe Bryant had incredible efficiency. I believe Kobe shot over 60% in that game, or at least close to it. And this is a 60-point game, mind you. And people are going to say, well, look, it took him a crazy amount of shots. But I'm going to ask you again. Yeah, you could look at how many shots he took, but how many shots did he make too? See, that's the efficiency part that people just want to ignore, man. So yeah, Kobe Bryant had an amazing scoring feat. He outscored an entire team by 1 point through 3 quarters, 62-61. He could have gone in there and could have had another explosive quarter to where we were talking about he would possibly have a 90 point. Talk about that he could have possibly scored what? Close to 90 points? Like, that's what's so crazy. And the Dallas Mavericks went to the NBA Finals that year, ladies and gentlemen. This is with Kobe not having the most talented team and Dallas having one of the best defensive teams in the league, a top 10 defense. And Kobe Bryant outscores them 62-61 through 3 quarters. Wow, this is crazy, man. That is crazy. And you got to give Kobe Bryant a lot of credit for a guy to be able to do that against one of the best defensive teams in the league, a team that ended up going to the NBA Finals, a team that won 60 games, and with a roster of 12. Kobe Bryant outscores a roster 62-61. You can't marvel in that and say that was impressive. A lot of people say, well, Kobe stat padded like that whole season. Do you honestly think that if Kobe Bryant had a better team, that Kobe would be stat padding? Obviously, Kobe would be taking his shots and his amount of shot attempts. And people would say, he's not efficient. And Kobe Bryant really doesn't understand the game and really how to utilize his teammates, which I always say before, and I'll say it again. In the second half of Kobe Bryant's career, he was a much better team leader, and he was a much better student in terms of really understanding the game of basketball, to where it helped him win. And he had a very impressive run from 2008 to 2010, where he ended up in 2 championships in 3 seasons with a very, very great, very, very good front line that he had and a very good solid bench that he had up until the 2010 season. But 62 points in 3 quarters, man, against a team that went to the NBA Finals with prime Dirk Nowitzki, mind you, who had his best season of his career up to that point before he won the MVP the very next season and led the Mavs to 67 wins, which ended up being the best record in the league. So I just want you guys to think about how special that was. And I feel like that was his most impressive performance. And the crazy part was the Lakers were up by 20+ points. I believe they were up by as many as 30. So yeah, if people don't think that Kobe scoring can't impact a game, like, it's wrong. And when he's hot, the dude is damn near unstoppable. So major props for Kobe Bryant on that scoring night. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy Lewis with another one. Let me know what you guys think. And it was one of the most efficient 60-point games of Kobe Bryant's career. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You already know, as always, live, laugh, love. Thank you for watching the video, man. As always, for my subs, let's hit them with a banger. Bang, bang, banger.